This is a beginner level 1 class on March 14th, 2020, being recorded for the use of the yoga teacher trainees in their studies on how to teach beginner level asana. Okay, so we begin sitting, and you're sitting up onto a prop so that the hips are a little bit higher than the knees. And then the legs are either typically crisscrossed, as in Sukhasana, the good or easy pose, or we come into Siddhasana, where one heel is into the groin and the other heel is in front of the opposite ankle. The knees are much wider here and the spine feels much taller. In this posture, you do not wish to feel pain in your knees. If you do feel pain in your knees, then try to put a prop underneath the outer edge of the knees to support. If that doesn't work, then sit with your legs straight in front of you. Right? So now from here, we'll sit tall, close the eyes. Take a few breaths in, a few breaths out. Allow yourself to arrive in this moment. Be aware of your breath. Be aware of the potential of inner peace. Be aware of stability in the body. Be aware of any discomfort, but don't judge it. And for the purpose of our practice this morning, allow awareness to be your intention. That you will constantly pay attention on purpose so that you can come into a deeper and more profound understanding of yourself. Now placing the right hand on the belly, left hand on the heart. Keeping the eyes closed or at a soft gaze, just pay attention to your breath. As you breathe in, perhaps feel the belly bloat. As you breathe out, the belly naturally contracts. And just feeling the coming and going of the breath, allowing yourself to bond with that process of breathing and with the experience of being. Repeat silently to yourself, I am aware. I am aware. I am aware. And then draw the hands together in front of the heart. And with that awareness, we'll lift our voices in one beautiful Om. Take a nice breath in. Om. Bowing the head toward the heart, acknowledging all that is. And draw the face back to center. Release the hands down to the sides. You can come off of your prop now and sit in Dandasana, the staff pose, with your legs straight in front of you. And we will come into the Pawanamuktasana Series 1. Pawanamuktasana Series 1. So the first thing that we wish to do is sit tall, hands alongside the body, legs straight. Now, if the palms of the hands don't come to the floor, some people have shorter arms than others. If the heel of the hand does not come to the floor, then put blocks underneath of your hands to lift the floor up to you. Better to lift the floor up and sit with an erect spine than lean back and cause stress in the lower back. Yeah. So put the blocks underneath of your hands, Casey. Yeah, there you go. Or if the blanket is what's in the way, you can always turn the blanket long ways so you still get the benefit of sitting on it, and then your hands will have the floor to, yeah, there you go. Yeah, because you don't need the blocks. Okay. Now here, the legs are long and straight. Some people have tight hamstrings, the muscles on the back of the thighs. If your hamstrings are tight, then you take your blanket, roll it up into a little tube, and put it underneath the back of your knees. That safeguards your hamstrings and helps to avoid injury. It's very important to know that. And then you'll flex your feet as if you were standing on them, and you will not lift your heels off of the ground. You will lengthen your heels toward the stage so that you feel long in the back of the legs. Now the shoulders are relaxed, the head is balanced between the shoulders, hands are on the floor, spine is tall, legs are long, and you are in L shape. Dandasana, the staff pose. Feel a little activation in the lower abdominal area. Breathe in, breathe out. And then release about 50% of the engagement that you have and begin to point and flex the toes. Pointing and flexing. And going back and forth several times. Anywhere from 6 to 8 times is fine. As you point the toes, you can be breathing in, and as you flex the feet, you can be breathing out. And then the next time that the feet are flexed, you'll start to make rotations into the ankles. So moving both feet in the same direction. And then reverse direction and go the opposite way. Now bring the feet to a place where they are flexed and begin to bend the toes. Bend and lengthen the toes a few times. Really squish those toes, nice and strong. And it could cause a cramp. It's okay. The cramp will pass. Okay. Now keep the feet flexed, sitting nice and tall, about 50% engagement, and activate your kneecaps. So draw your kneecaps up a little bit and then relax them. Yes. And so actually what you're also engaging are the quads of the thighs, right? Okay. So just do that a few times. Engage, relax, engage, relax, engage, relax. Now you're going to bend your right knee, and from here, I'll sit sideways so that you can also see. From here, you're going to place your hands behind the right thigh. Keep the spine nice and tall and lift the right foot off the ground. Hugging that right thigh in toward the chest now, keeping the foot flexed. You're going to inhale, lift the leg up, and exhale, bend the knee. And do that maybe 6 times. Noticing any sounds that you might hear, any snap, crackles, or pops. A little crepitus maybe for those my age or older. Try not to react to what you feel. Okay. Now, next time that the leg is up, hold it up. Keep the spine tall. Keep breathing. And now bend the knee. Hold the right foot in the left hand and the right knee with the right hand. And start to make rotations into the hip socket. So nice big circles into the hip socket. And the foot is not resting on the leg at this point. The foot is in the air, being supported by the left hand. And those circles can be pretty big if you like them to be. They can also be very small if the larger circle is difficult. Reverse direction and go the opposite way. Now, draw the calf and the shin close to the chest and place your arms either underneath of the calf or around the sole of the foot and knee and hold hands. Either way, the shin should be parallel to the floor as much as possible. So if it can't go there now, that's fine, but just keep in mind that you're constantly working to open the body to a place where it can. And eventually it will. All you have to do is focus on your breath and allow your breath to open up the body. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel that there's probably a little tightness in the back of the thigh and maybe in the glute muscles. And then gently place that ankle down onto the thigh. So the right ankle is resting on the left thigh. And now you're going to start moving that knee up and down in half butterfly. And this can be pretty significant movement. So you can go pretty fast and you can go pretty rigorous with this, as long as it doesn't cause pain in the knee. If it causes any pain in the knee, then slow down and, if necessary, even come out of the posture. And now help that foot onto the ground, straighten both legs. Both feet flexed, both legs straight, shoulders relaxed, eyes closed. Pay attention to how you feel. How does the right side of the body feel in comparison to the left? Fluttering the eyes open now, bending into the left knee. Place the hands behind the left thigh. Keep that right foot nice and flexed. Draw the left thigh in toward the chest and begin to straighten and lower. Straighten and lower. Or bend and extend would be the more appropriate. Inhaling as you extend and exhaling as you bend. And hold it up there. Keep the face soft with compassion. So don't look like you're sucking on a lemon. It's only as difficult as you tell yourself it is. So if you say to yourself, oh my God, this is so hard, it's going to be. But if you say to yourself, this is not so bad. I could sit here for 3 hours and not once want to get out. It might not be the entire truth. But it's something to work toward. All right. Now, taking the hand to the foot and the hand to the knee, we'll start making rotations into that left hip socket. So nice big rotations. If the big rotations are too strenuous this morning, then you can make smaller circles. It's perfectly fine. Go the opposite way. Keeping that right foot flexed the whole time. Yeah, all the way flexed. There you go. Yes. Now place the ankle down onto the thigh. And you're still going to hold onto the foot with the right hand, but you're going to use the left hand to move the knee up and down in half butterfly pose. Gazing straight forward, keeping the spine nice and tall. Make sure that you're breathing appropriately. So normally I wouldn't be doing this along with you. I would simply be watching, but I'm doing this to illustrate to you as teachers what you should be looking like, or what you could be looking like. All right, now draw the shin in toward the chest. Bring both arms either underneath of the calf or around the foot and the knee. And just be here breathing. And if you feel that intense little tug in the back of the thigh or the side of the hip, then just breathe into that and see if you can allow it to release a little bit. Bringing the shin more and more parallel to the earth. So straight across. Two more breaths. Very good. And then lowering that foot down, straightening the leg, sitting up tall, eyes closed, just noticing how you feel. And then from here, we're going to come to sitting on our heels. So you're going to switch to rock pose. The rock, the diamond pose, Vajrasana. For some people, this will be very uncomfortable. If they have tight ankles, this will be uncomfortable. If they have anything happening in the bones of their feet, this can be really uncomfortable. So an option that you can give students is they can take a block or a little bolster and put it between their feet and sit on that instead. Sometimes just the bulk of the thighs is enough that they can't actually sit onto the heels. So in that instance, they might need a higher block or a bigger bolster. The one thing with this particular posture, Vajrasana, the rock pose or the diamond pose, no pain in the knees. If you have a knee injury, this posture is actually considered to be an amazing posture to support health and healing in the knees. But it cannot be through the experience of pain. It has to be through the experience of ease. So again, sitting nice and tall. Shoulders and hips in line, face straight forward. Extend the arms in line with the shoulders and begin to bend and extend the wrists. You can inhale as you extend and exhale as you bend. Now, health in the body is oftentimes seen as related to the ability to move one joint at a time. So here, try not to bend the elbows while you're moving. Allow the movement to be only in the wrists. Don't bend the fingers in relationship to this either, just the wrists. Coming back to center now, do circles. Both wrists turning in the same direction. Opposite direction. Now turn the palms up, bend the elbows, touch the shoulders. Elbows stay as high as the shoulders, and they open out to the sides. So they are straight across, they're not lopsided. The elbows are directly in line. This posture will be contraindicated for individuals with frozen shoulder syndrome. So if you have any pain in the shoulder or an individual can't get their elbows up this high, then this is not the appropriate posture for them to be doing. We'll talk later about alternatives. Exhale, elbows toward one another. Inhale, elbows open. Exhale, elbows toward one another. Inhale, elbows open. Exhale, closed. Inhale, open. Exhale, closed. Inhale, open. Exhale, closed. And now start to make circles. Nice big circles. Inhaling as the elbows open and exhaling as the elbows close. And remember to come kind of close to your yogic breathing. So it doesn't have to be 5-5 or 4-6 here, but it shouldn't be 1-1. Yeah? Go the opposite way. And it's okay if the elbows don't touch. Large-breasted women will have difficulty having the elbows touched. Individuals with broad shoulders or broad chests will have difficulty getting the elbows close together. So whatever place they can bring them to is fine. Next time you take the elbows out to the sides in line with the shoulders, open the arms out, turn the palms down, bend the elbows into pendulum pose. Now while you're here, keep the elbows as high as the shoulders and try to relax the shoulders. You look like Scarecrow. Yeah? And then relax the hands down and close the eyes. Feel the warmth across the shoulders. Feel any openness or resistance in the chest area. Flutter the eyes open. And now arms forward again. Close the fist, thumb in. Open. Close the fist, thumb out. Open. Go back and forth several times. Now, sometimes we start with this particular posture for the upper body flexibilities, and sometimes we don't. It can come first or last, it's fine. Yeah. All right, lower the hands down. If you have glasses on, you take them off. You never do eye flexibilities with glasses on. And so make sure that you're keeping an eye on your students and that if they have glasses on, you have them take them off. You're going to keep your gaze straight forward. And you're going to look up without moving your head. So shift just the eyeballs up and eyeballs down. Up, down. Up, down. Up, down. Up, down. Up, down. Now left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Up to the left, down to the 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 right. Up to the right, down to the left. 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 Now, make circles with the eyes. Don't strain or stress your eyes. Sometimes this is irritating at first if you have dry eyes or if you just don't tend to exercise your eyes. Now go in the opposite direction. When I first started doing this years ago, it actually gave me a headache. And then I got accustomed to it. And now it feels very comforting. Now close the eyes, let the eyes rest. Rub the palms of the hands together briskly until you feel heat building up in the palms of the hands. And keeping the eyes closed now, you can place the palms of the hands gently over the eyes and allow the eyes to soak in the heat. And repeat that, rubbing the palms of the hands together briskly. Once you feel some heat building up, then you can place the palms of the hands gently on the eyes without pressing. And one more time. And palms onto the eyes. And then resting the hands down onto the lap, sitting with the eyes closed, and knowing and even saying to yourself, these flexibilities are bringing greater health and wellness to the joints of my body. They are empowering my circulation, my elimination, my digestion, and my very existence. And then fluttering the eyes open, there are one or two other flexibilities that you can add in also. You can do full butterfly. So you can take the soles of the feet together. And the heels can be far forward or they can be very close. It just depends on your level of flexibility. The one thing that you do not want to feel in a full butterfly pose is that there's pulling across the groin. That's not good for your pelvic floor. So there should be a general ease with every posture. You're going to hold on to the toes and just move both knees up and down, keeping the spine nice and tall.
Is the ankles okay?
What was that?
Holding on to the ankles, is that okay?
Yep, absolutely. You can even yogi toe grip the big toes if you want to. Yeah. And then get a little more vigorous, like you're going to fly. We'll have to go gather up all the yogis because they'll be flying all over the property. And then really vigorous. If someday you want to sit in Padmasana, this is the posture to practice every day. This opens up the hips beautifully. Yeah. All right, and then rest down. And now the other variation for this is to take the thumbs to the balls of the toes and open the feet up like a book so that the tops of the feet come down toward the ground. Then you're going to take your elbows in front of your shins, hinge at the hips, and fold forward. Breathing in and breathing out. This posture is not about getting your head down to your feet. If it goes there, that's great. But if it doesn't go there, that's fine too, because it's really just about being okay where you are. And if you learn how to really be okay where you are, eventually your head will probably go down to your feet. Or maybe it won't. There are bigger battles to fight in this life.
When we do the butterfly or flapping, I noticed you keep your ankles in line so they're not sickled.
Mm-hmm.
So is that something we should all be mindful of and not bend back the ankles?
When we are in the movable butterfly? Yeah, so there's going to be a little bit of movement in the ankles, but there shouldn't be too much.
Okay, so
yeah.
Don't go like that, but rather like...
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, and gently come up. Wonderful. All right, so now from here, you're going to come into tabletop posture. So before you move, there's always a proper way of moving from posture to posture. We don't ever want to throw ourselves or force ourselves. We want to support our body. So you take both hands to the knees, you help the knees together, and then you take both feet to one side and maneuver around to your tabletop posture. Your tabletop posture, the knees are directly underneath of the hips, and the ankles are straight back from the knees. The toes are either pointing straight back or they are curled under. The wrists are directly underneath of the shoulders, and the middle finger is generally straight forward. The middle finger is generally straight forward. Your side body, from your armpit to your hip, is long, and your shoulder blades are snug on the back of your rib cage. Feel that there's a gentle engagement in your abdominal muscles. Broaden your shoulders a little more, KP. So now being here in this tabletop posture, just breathing in and breathing out for a moment, try to balance your weight between the hands and the knees. Don't have more weight in one hand than the other or one knee than the other. Marlene, bring your hands forward a smidge. Oh, okay. Like, that's a new one.
Yes, it's trainable.
Okay, now we're going to come into Bidalasana and Marjorie Asana, the cow and the cat pose. So as you inhale, begin to slowly dip the spine toward the floor, and as a result, the head will lift. And then as you exhale, begin to round your spine toward the ceiling. As a result, your head will lower. Inhaling, start to dip the spine toward the floor. As a result, the head will lift. And then, as you exhale, begin to round the spine toward the ceiling. As a result, the head will lower. Continue back and forth between these two movements. Initially, just being aware of the movement. For some new students, they've never done this before, and so just even trying to dip and round the spine will be a lot for them. For other students, they have practiced before, and they can come into a deeper level of awareness. So you can talk with them about slowing the movement down and feeling the movement in between each vertebrae, being aware of as much of their back body as possible while they are going through this process. This process of cow, cat pose, Bidalasana, Marjorie Asana. Additionally, the head does not lead the way, so do not lift the head first or lower the head first. The spine leads the way. Start with the tailbone and either dip or round, and then as a result of that, the head follows. Two more of each. And then very gently sit back onto your heels for a moment. And again, if you have individuals in class who cannot sit onto their heels, then they can sit onto a prop, or they can even come into Dandasana for a few moments if that's what they need to do. Sometimes new students and even existing students say they have wrist tenderness in this posture and downward facing dog and anywhere else where weight is in the hands. So one of the first things is to talk about where weight should be in the hands and where it shouldn't be. So your hand, you have a J here, which is the thumb and the pointer finger. The base of the thumb and the base of the pointer finger are the most robust parts of the hand. So that is where the weight belongs. The weight does not belong on the heel of the hand or the outer edge of the hand. Most of the weight, 65% of the weight, belongs focused here and here. This way, you're not aggravating the carpal tunnel nerves, which come right through the center of the heel of the hand, and you're also not focusing on connective tissue to support you. You're focusing on robust bones to support you. So if a student is having tenderness, you can always say to them they can take this posture with fists. That keeps the wrist straight, and it won't aggravate the wrist nerves. Or they can come out and make circles with the wrists. So let's do that for a moment. Just circling the wrists in one direction and then the other direction. Another thing that they can do is shake the hands. Just shaking the hands. And now, resting the hands down, come back to your tabletop posture, please. The next posture we will come into is Chakravakrasana. And we're going to take this in a couple of variations. And for your beginner students, it's really going to depend on where they are with body awareness, flexibility, strength, awareness. And take the hands a little further. There you go. Very good. All right. So to come into Chakravakrasana, the first thing that we're going to do is make sure that our knees and our hands are aligned appropriately. And that our shins are parallel and our toes are in line with our knees. The wrists are directly under the shoulders and the middle finger is generally straight forward. Elbows are not locked. From here, you're going to extend your right leg straight back, hip height, foot flexed. Do not lift the right hip, just the right leg. Flex the foot as if you were standing on it, and do not turn the foot out. Keep the toes toward the floor. Flex the foot like you're standing on it. Keep the front of your hips square to the floor. Keep your weight even through both hands and the standing knee. Now, you can take your left arm in line with your ear and balancing your weight between your hand and knee, extending through your left fingertips and your right heel. Extend and integrate. So hug everything into the midline, but also extend. Your face can be looking at the floor directly under your face so that your ear is in line with your upper arm. Release the knee and the hand down. Take a cow and cat pose. So that first variation is called sunbird. It goes by other names too. Sunbird or Chakravakrasana 1. Bless you. Now we'll come into Chakravakrasana 2. And for new students, this is going to be really challenging. So you may not go here in a first class. You may just stick with the first one. Extend your right leg straight back, hip height, foot flexed. Same leg, same leg. Okay, now keep that leg lifted. Do not lower the knee, but bend the knee so that the sole of the foot is now facing the ceiling. Lift the knee up, higher than the hip. Now extend your left arm forward. And now sweep the left arm back and hold on to the right foot. Lift the right foot up, bow the back. Look straight forward now. Try not to drop the head. And use your grip on your foot to balance you. Breathe in, breathe out. Slowly extend the leg and arm. And as you exhale, lower all the way down and rest in child's pose. So child's pose, knees are close together. You're sitting onto your heels. If you need a prop underneath the buttocks, you can put one there. Forehead comes down toward the ground. If the forehead does not reach the ground, then you put a block under your forehead. Hands are by the feet. And if your wrists are sore, then you can make little circles or do what you need to. In this posture, continually melt the heart. So that means soften the space behind the heart between the shoulder blades. Soften, soften, soften. Inhaling, gently come back up. Tabletop posture. Preparing your alignment. Your hands, your knees are placed appropriately. And now you're going to extend the left leg back. Left leg goes straight back, hip height, foot flexed. Be a little particular with yourself. Do not accept the alignment if it is misaligned. The hips are level to the floor. The leg is in line with the hip. The foot is flexed. The shoulders are strong and the head is not dropped. Engage your abdominal muscles a little bit. And now take your right arm forward in line with the ear. You are both lengthening through the extended arm and leg and at the same time hugging everything back into the midline. Feeling strong. The palm of that right hand is facing in. You should look like a straight line. So lift a little bit higher, Casey, and turn the right palm in. Yeah. Close the thumb. There you go. Not all the way, just in line with the other fingers. Yes. Now gently lower the knee and the hand down. Take a cow and cat pose. Prepare yourself mentally. And again, in your initial beginner level 1 classes, you may not come to this second variation of Chakravakrasana, but maybe you will. It just depends on who the students are. So extend the left leg straight back, hip height, foot flexed. Allow yourself to feel stable before you go any further. Have the intention of alignment and stability. Take the right arm straight forward. Now bend that left knee. Keep the knee lifted. Lift it even higher. Bend the knee as much as you can. Reach the right arm back and hold on to the foot. Lift the knee up even higher. Use the energy between the hand and the foot to bring about a little bit of tension that you can use to help balance yourself. Release the hand and the foot. Extend the arm straight, the leg straight. As you exhale, gently lower down, and then go to child's pose and rest. Everything is step by step. And, there is a time when a student will jump ahead of the teacher because they'll think they know where they're going. But you really don't want that to happen in a class because then you lose control of the class. So it's important for you that if you're going to teach step by step, that you have everybody stay with what you're saying and pay attention. If they're jumping ahead, they're not in the moment. They're in the future. All right, sit up onto your heels for a moment. So, tabletop posture. Shoulders are strong onto the back of the body. Hips are generally in line with the knees. Wrists are generally in line with the shoulders. Now, I'm going to take my right leg back. I'm just going to extend it straight back. I'm not lifting my hip and I'm not lifting my leg higher than my hip. All I'm doing is extending my leg straight back, keeping my hips as parallel to the floor as possible. Then I'm going to bend my knee and keep my knee lifted high. Notice that arches my back already, so that when I extend my arm and reach around, my foot is right there. I don't have to do this, because notice what happens to my back when I go here. I have long arms and legs. For some people, this will knock them right out of the game. You want to keep the knee lifted, reach back, so that you're already in the posture and you have very little energy to waste. You have all the energy to invest. Make sense? Good. All right. So come to another child's pose now. Balasana, child's pose. Hips to the heels or buttocks to the heels. So there's 2 types of child's pose. This is the traditional child's pose. Your buttocks are on your heels. Your hands are in line with your feet. If this is too tight in the knees or the low back, you can use a prop. You can put a bolster or a blanket between the back of the thighs and the calves. You can put a block under your forehead. You can even put a bolster between the legs if you want to. The idea here is that you're working with digestion. You're causing a little bit of pressure in the tummy, and this is going to help you have a bowel movement later. It's also squeezing into the lymph nodes in your body, helping to detoxify you. It's also giving your lungs a little bit of a workout because it's not so easy to breathe here. It is also an introspective posture because you're not facing the world. You're facing to the ground, looking inside of yourself. Now gently come up onto your heels, sitting up tall. And now take the knees very wide apart, at least as wide as your mat. Your big toes touch. So knees very wide, big toes touch. Hands come to the floor in front of you. Keep the buttocks on the heels. Walk the hands forward. Heart comes down. Head comes down. This is a wide-kneed child's pose. This is not a digestive pose. This is a hip opener. It does not have the same complete benefit that the other child's pose has. Most students prefer this because it can be a little bit easier, but you should teach your students the first one, because digestion is absolutely of utmost importance in health and wellness. Okay, now, come back to the closed-kneed child's pose. And you're going to take your arms forward on your mat, palms face down. Lift your butt up off of your heels. Hands are shoulder distance apart. Come all the way up off of the heels. Curl the toes under. Lift the hips up into downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Return to child's pose. We're going to come in and out of this once or twice. From Balasana, extend the arms forward, palms face down, shoulder distance apart. Lift the hips up, curl the toes under, straighten the legs. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward dog. One more time, child's pose. Then we're going to stay here for a few moments. So remembering that in Balasana, with the closed knees, hands are alongside the feet. And now to transition or to move from Balasana to downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, extend the arms forward, palms face down, shoulder distance apart. Lift the hips, curl the toes under, straighten the legs so that the hips lift up. Arms and legs are straight. So now we're going to be here for a few moments working on alignment here. If you need to come out, you go to child's pose and then come back and join us again. First thing that we're going to do is set the feet 7 to 10 inches apart. So they should be sits bones to hip distance apart. And your hamstrings are going to be what define that. So if your hamstrings are super tight, meaning you cannot straighten your legs without pain, then your feet go a little wider. If you have no flexibility issues in the back of the legs, then your feet can go a little bit closer. The knees are straight but not locked. And your tailbone is lifting up toward the sky. Now look at your hands. Your middle finger is generally straight forward. Your fingers are either all closed or evenly slightly open. The thumb is no more open than the rest of the fingers. And the hands are at least shoulder distance apart. Elbows are straight but not locked. Lengthen the spine, tilt the tailbone up, and let the ears be in line with the upper arms. Go to child's pose. Rest the hands by the feet. That relaxes your shoulders. Rest the hands by the feet. That relaxes your shoulders. Yes, use the props you need to. Last one. Take another breath or two here. And then extending the arms forward, palms face down. Lift the buttocks up, curl the toes under, return to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Check all of your alignment points as we discuss them. Spacing of the feet, parallel feet, knees straight but not locked, tailbone lifted up, hands shoulder distance apart, fingers evenly closed, elbows straight but not locked, ears in line with the upper arms, shoulder blades snug on the back of the rib cage, tailbone tilting up. Breathing. This is the hard posture for new students, but eventually it becomes a resting place. It really does. Now look forward. Step your right foot forward between your hands. Step your left foot forward to meet your right. And now you are in Uttanasana, standing forward fold. If the hands come to the ground, that's wonderful. If they don't, put the hands on blocks. If the hamstrings are super tight here, take your feet further apart. Tilt the tailbone up. And draw your hips more toward the front of your mat so that your ankles, knees, and hips are in line with one another. Let the head dangle like a ripe tomato. Uttanasana, forward fold. Your feet are parallel. Your knees are as straight as they can be without harming your hamstrings, but they are never locked. Your tailbone is lifting up toward the ceiling. Your spine and head are dangling down toward the ground. Your hands are outside of the feet, palms face down. Middle finger is generally straight forward. Take a breath or two. Now from here, bend your knees a little bit. Put your hands onto your hips. Press down through your feet and lift all the way up to standing. Release the hands by your sides. Close the eyes and breathe. See, people hear beginner level 1 and they think, oh, too easy. No. Your beginner level 1 can be a very powerful practice. You just have to focus on the alignment. They don't have to move fast in order to get the work. You can hold them in Chakravakrasana. You can cause them to work the alignment. And a 75-minute class is like 4 hours at the gym. But it all has to do with the intention of the student. If they're looking for something to be wrong or lacking, they will find it. So as the teacher, it's just simply up to you to decide what kind of teacher you're going to be. Are you going to teach your students clearly, with clarity, and with alignment? Are you going to teach them discipline, discernment, and how to take responsibility for their own work? Or are you going to give them an easy out and let them find everything wrong with everything? All right, flutter the eyes open. So now we come to Tadasana. Tadasana, the mountain pose. So look at your feet, and I'm very happy to see that almost everybody has parallel feet already. So our lesson from yesterday, I guess it was, carried through. Remember when we walked in place? Yeah, wonderful. So if your feet are not parallel, bring them there. And then, standing tall, gazing straight forward, lift the kneecaps a little bit by engaging the quad muscles. Lengthen tailbone slightly. Soften the sternum. Shoulders are generally relaxed. Palms are facing the sides of the body. Now notice why. Notice what happens. You're standing in Tadasana, and the palms are facing the sides of the body. Notice the relationship of the shoulders, the sternum, the shoulder blades on the back of the rib cage. Now turn your palms forward and notice what happens. The heart just popped forward. The clavicles took on more stress. This is not incorrect, but it might not be optimal. Optimal use of energy is palms facing the body. And then the head is balanced between the shoulders. And you're just breathing, feeling grounded down through the feet, while you're also lifting up through the body. From here, lift all 10 toes. Feel engagement through the legs. Fan the toes apart like fingers. Root down through the ball of the big toe, inner edge of the foot, of the heel, ball of the little toe, outer edge of the heel, and then place the toes down gently. Notice how that just stabilized you even more. It's beautiful practice. Do it again. Lift all 10 toes. Fan the toes apart like fingers. Root down through the ball of the big toe, inner edge of the heel, ball of the little toe, outer edge of the heel, and then lower the pads of the toes down gently. Close the eyes. Feel completely integrated. And then fluttering the eyes open now. From this place, you're going to exhale your hands together in front of your heart. Step your right foot back 3 or 4 feet so that your heels are generally in line. Your back foot is at a 45-degree angle, and your front knee is going to bend so that the knee is in line with the ankle. Some of you can have a longer stance, and some of you can have a shorter stance. Pay attention to how congested you feel or how out of control you feel. So if you're kind of here and you feel like you're really wobbly, that might be too far. So then you take that back foot forward slightly. If you're here and you feel like you're not doing anything, then you're too close. Take the foot back. So bend the knee so it's directly above the front ankle. It is not falling in or out. It's directly above. So this is your opportunity to be very precise about how you want your practice to manifest. If you let that front knee fall in or out, you're asking for an injury. Turn your torso to face the sidewall. Keep the front knee directly above the ankle. Do not let that front knee turn in. So now it's going to feel like that front leg is opening out a little bit, but you're just keeping yourself in alignment. Lengthen the tailbone. Lengthen the tailbone. Draw the belly back. Bend the knee more. Root down through the right heel. See if you have any more space here that you can bend into that front knee a little bit more. And if you do, then hop the back foot back another inch or 2. Laura, square your hips a little bit more this way.
Or this ankle is too tight for me to do that.
Turn the foot out a little bit more. There you go. Is that better?
Yeah.
And take that back foot that way a little bit more so that the heels are a smidge more aligned. Yes, there you go. Much better, much better. Good. Fernanda, take that front knee out a little bit. Yes. Take your tailbone under a little bit. Sit back a little bit more. Take the whole torso back a little bit more. There. Okay. Keep those toes on the ground. Bend the front knee more. Now open the arms out so that the hands are generally in line with the feet. They're not going to be in line with the feet, depends on your body proportions, but they're in that direction. Relax the shoulders. Do not hyperextend your elbows, so they're straight but not locked. The torso is straight up and down, and you're going to turn your head and gaze past your left fingertips toward the stage. Breathe in, breathe out. Most new students will already need a break, unless they're already athletic and accustomed to the energy of exertion. Exhale the hands to the heart. Now turn your body forward, step forward, and return to Tadasana. Close the eyes and breathe. Inhale and exhale. Fluttering the eyes open now, exhale the hands to the heart. From this place, step the opposite foot back 3, maybe 4 feet. The heels are generally in line with each other here. The back foot is at a 45-ish degree angle, but depending on tightness in your left hip, it might need to be a little bit more of an angle or a little bit less. Bend the front knee so that the knee is directly above the ankle. And then take your body straight. So don't lean forward. Don't lean to any of the sides. Keep your body tall. Breathe in and breathe out. That front knee stays right where it is. You turn your body toward the left wall. Do not let that front knee move at all. Much better. Good. Lengthen the tailbone a little bit so that the butt's not sticking out. See if you can take that left hip back a little bit more. Good. Check in that you're not leaning forward or backward. And take the knee out a smidge. So when I say take the knee out, not the foot, just the knee. Bend the knee a little bit more, Nadira. There you go. Now open the arms out to the sides. Relax the shoulders. Turn your face toward your right fingertips. Arms are straight across, they're parallel to the ground. That front thigh is as close to parallel as you can bring it safely. So for some, that's going to be quite an angle, and for others, it won't be. It just depends. But you're not practicing your neighbor's posture, you're practicing yours. So we have to learn how to be okay with where our body is while still doing the work to discover where things can go to without forcing. Your newer students will already need a break because they won't have the stamina, unless they do, to hold this for long periods of time. And maybe you're even saying to yourself, wow, can we get out of this now? Exhale the hands to the heart. Turn toward the top of your mat. Step your left foot forward to meet your right. Release your hands, close your eyes, and breathe. Flutter the eyes open. So now we're back into Tadasana again, because mountain pose is the foundational posture for all standing postures. The seated correlate to mountain pose is Dandasana. So Dandasana is the foundational pose for all seated postures. It has a very similar alignment to mountain pose. Both feet parallel, thigh muscles activated, tailbone softened, sternum softened, shoulders relaxed. Shoulder blades on the back of the rib cage, snug. Arms alongside the body, palms face in, gazing straight forward. Strong as a mountain, you cannot be moved by even the strongest wind. Now release 50% of that engagement. Place your weight into your left foot, turn your right toes out, and then lift your right heel, place it above your left ankle. Keep your hips square forward and take your hands to your heart. So the big toes are still on the floor. Toes are still on the floor. Because your beginning level students, this is their beginning. This is like step 1. Actually, it's step 2, because what is step 1? Right, exactly. Mountain pose is step 1. So this is actually step 2. And here, depending on who the student is, they might start feeling wobbly and starting to lose their breath. And your job is to bring them back to the breath and bring them back to their stability. So if you let them jump all the way forward, putting the foot up on the thigh, etc., and so on, then they're not present with the breath or with the struggle. They're just trying to get to a place of comfort. They need to learn how to stabilize here, and then the rest will be easier somehow. So now from here, you can make a choice. You can either stay here, or you can lift that right foot a little bit higher, place it onto the inside of the shin below the knee. Notice what it takes to stabilize here. Try not to kick that left hip out to the side. Keep everything integrated, nice and tall in the body. And then, as you inhale, take the arms up. Integrate the shoulder blades onto the back of the rib cage. Palms face each other. They can be touching if you want them to be, that's fine. Rooting down through the sole of that left foot. Feeling length through the spine and integration. And then release the hands to the heart, the foot to the floor. Close the eyes and breathe. Vrikshasana, tree pose. For my beginner level classes, I don't tend to take them any higher than that. Because what I really want them to work on is their core strength and their ability to feel grounded. So I don't want them to feel like when they come into class, I'm always going to ask them to go someplace they're not comfortable going. And bringing the foot all the way up to the inner thigh, most people are not comfortable going there. So after I've worked with a beginner class for a couple of times, and it's the same or similar people in the class, then I'll take them a little further. I teach in levels. So now place the weight into the opposite foot. So right foot gets weighted down, left toes turn out. Lift the left heel, place it onto the right ankle. Keep the hips square forward. Hands come together in front of the heart. And now here you're picking something to stare at, which is called a dristi. Dristi. It is a gazing point. And it should not be something that's moving. It's got to be stable. And it should be something that has a little bit of grip to it. If you just looked at the green on the wall, it would be too fluctuating. In our school in Toms River, I always used to look at our green wall, and I was amazed at how there was nothing there to hold on to. I'm like, why is my balance so off when I look at this wall? Got to have a little texture to it. Keep the hips integrated, spine integrated. Lift the foot a little higher if you'd like to. Come into a deeper balance. Sole of the foot to the inside of the shin. Open the knee out slightly to the side, but keep the hips square forward. And if you like, without jumping ahead, lift the arms up. Feel what happens as you lift the arms up. You must bear down through that standing foot to maintain integration. Taking a few more breaths here. If you waver, if you fall, it's okay. You just take a breath and you come back. You start from step one, building foundation. Exhale, hands to the heart, the foot to the floor. Step the feet close together. The hands can come to the heart. And all you're going to do for this Ustrasana, Ustrasana? Oh, that should be Utkatasana. Just look. Did you teach them camel or chair?
We haven't really gotten to do camel.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so I have it as camel here. It's kind of interesting. John, you share something. Okay, we'll do camel. All right, so now from here, you're going to take the hands down to the floor and then lower your knees down. Sit onto your heels for a moment. So Ustrasana is camel pose. It can be a gentle back bend. And the only contraindications here would be if there's pain in the knees as a result of kneeling. And if there's pain in the low back, then they shouldn't go very far into the back bend. They should come to the place where there's no pain. So it's going to look really different for certain students. Some students will be able to drop the hands right back to the heels. Other students are only going to be able to bend back a little bit. So come to tall thighs. You want the space of 2 fists between your knees. And the shins go straight back from the knees. The toes can either be uncurled or curled. It's completely up to you. And I like what you're doing with that blanket there. Some people have tenderness on the top of their feet, and Casey has his blanket rolled and his lower shins front of the ankles resting onto the blanket, which can be really therapeutic for individuals who have tight ankles. From here, we're just going to make sure the hips are square forward and put the hands onto the hips. Relax the shoulders. Now take your fingertips and shift them down so that now your heels of your hands are resting on the back of the hips. Hug the elbows slightly toward one another and press the pelvis gently forward. Lift the heart up and start to gaze slightly upward. Keep the head, neck, and spine in line. Breathe in and breathe out. If you have more flexibility, you can go back further. Hug the elbows toward one another. The pelvis should be just in front of the knees, not behind. And then if you have even more space, you can drop the hands down, or I don't say drop, you can lower the hands down to the heels or to blocks outside of the feet. Pelvis comes much more forward. The pelvis stays in line with the knees. So Casey, more forward. Bend into the back more. Don't lift those knees off of the ground. Come back up. So what we want to see here is that the pelvis stays forward. We don't want to see this. We want to be here. Good. Across the heart space, very open. Use the blocks until it becomes a custom. Nice and spacious across the heart. Don't strain the neck or throat. Very good. 2 more breaths here. Now, use your abdominal muscles. Inhale, come up. Sit onto your heels, rest your hands on your thighs, and close your eyes. Yeah. We're going to get into some alignment in the coming sessions, but I want to explain one thing. Could I have your blocks? So, everybody knows what a fulcrum is? No. Okay. So a fulcrum is a point of pressure. And typically, anywhere in the body that is bent has the potential to become a fulcrum. And if it does become a fulcrum, it becomes a weak part of your alignment. The place where we see this happen the most is in the knees. In the knees, in postures like camel, in postures like fish pose when the knees are bent under, or hero pose when the knees are bent under. So we want to make sure in camel posture that the hips and knees are aligned, and that even the hips are slightly in front of the knees, which works the quads but does not cause weakness in the knee joint. From here, if you have blocks, you can lower the hands to the blocks symmetrically. We don't do here and then here because that torques the lower back. We want to lower back evenly. With the energy of the hips always going forward. If you don't need the blocks, then you just need to make sure that the hips are forward, the heart is spacious, and that you're coming in and out of the posture as symmetrically as possible so that you're not twisting the knees or putting a lot of pressure into that joint while it's open. And that you're lifting up out of the waistline in order to lean back. Does that make sense? Yeah?
So we don't want to put weight in our hands then?
You can put weight in the hands, but what you don't want to do is this. Right? You don't want to do this. I feel this in my right side, not my left side, and it's not good because now I have to compensate to get back here, and that's asking for something to become harmed. That's asking for an injury. So what I actually need to do is hands together in front of the heart, take the hands to the back of the hips, press the pelvis forward, lower myself down, using my upper body, then take my hands as evenly as possible and let my spine do the work while my hips didn't move very much at all. Good? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes, but I feel that maybe even for a beginner, like you said, depending on your class, it's challenging.
Oh, yeah. Blocks. 2 blocks. 2 blocks. Or hands go to the hips. And this is nice because it gets their hands into the proper position. And then they practice pressing the pelvis forward and lifting the heart up. And this is it. This is enough of a camel pose. Until their body gets accustomed to being here and they feel confident and trusting that they can go back further. So beginner level 1 students are going to be a mix of your population. So you have to understand what you're seeing when you see your students. Athlete Joe walks in. He looks muscular and healthy, but he is tight. He is tight. So when you see someone who's highly muscular and bulky, you know that they are tight. Jane from Suburbia walks in, and she's all kinds of flexible, but she doesn't have any muscles, or very little muscles. So you know that she can overexploit her body very easily, but she does not have the strength to maintain. So Joe athlete and Jane from Suburbia need 2 different things. He needs to have flexibility. She needs strength. You need to teach to both. Now, you've got Jane 89 walking in. And Jane 89 has, well, the issues of an 89-year-old. Joe athlete needs flexibility. Jane from Suburbia needs strength. And our senior needs safety. And because she's got a Dowager's hump, or the beginning of one, the front of her body is closed. That means camel pose is not going to be easy for her. She needs to have blocks. And she needs to only come to a place where it's comfortable for her and not causing stress in the heart space. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then you have Tiffany hopping into the room who wants to do everything she wants to do without listening to anything you're saying. And in the meantime, you're trying to rein her in and teach her the discernment necessary for the practice. Give Joe his flexibility while keeping him safe because of all the tight muscles in his body. Give Jane her strength and making sure she's not over-exploiting herself because she can quite easily because she's so flexible. And then keeping our senior, safe and giving her the opportunity to experience the postures in a way that's going to support her aging process and keep her healthy and happy and alive longer. So you have to be observant of who's coming into your class, and you cannot be afraid to use props. And you're the teacher. So if you're up there, if I came here into camel and I'm telling you how to do camel and I'm like, keep your hips as close to in line with your knees as possible, and when you're reaching back, make sure that you're going back at the same rate. And then what I'm doing is this. I'm doing the opposite of what I'm telling you to do. I have to be a reflection of my instruction to you. I have to show you how to use the props. They're not beneath me. They are our friends. They're here so that our practice can be something special and something aligned. So if you're asking your students to do it, you have to do it. You have to show them that there's nothing to be afraid of, that it's no injury to the ego, that it's actually a huge support. Good? Okay. So now we come to everybody's favorite posture, Malasana. So take your blanket, please. Come to standing. Take your blanket or your bolster and put it across your mat. Across your mat. And you're going to have it folded appropriately. And it'll be about halfway back. About halfway back on your mat. So it will be behind you. So come to standing. The way that Casey's blanket is, that's the way your bolster should be, or your blanket. And this is the way that I teach Malasana to all students first. And then as they see what their body is capable of, we can talk about how to remove the props if we don't need them. You're going to take your feet, the heels go up onto your prop, your feet are wider than your knees, and your toes are turned out slightly. And now you're going to bend the knees, place the elbows inside of the knees, palms together. The knees and the toes are going out in the same direction. Spine is tall, the heart is open. You're gazing straight forward. You can close the eyes if you want to. This is the Malasana posture or the seed posture. Here you are a little prayer. You're like a bead on a mala. Malasana. So therefore you are a prayer on a string of holy beads. Keep lifting up through the spine. If you find that you don't need a high prop under your heels, then you can lean forward, put your hands on the ground slightly, move the bolster away from you, and take your heels down to the ground. My heels don't come to the ground, so I leave the prop there. But if your heels come to the ground and there's no pain in your knees, then that's fine. You can take the prop away. But always begin with the prop so your students know. Maybe take the feet even a little further, Casey, if that's tight on that right knee. Yeah, very good. So staying where you are, breathing in and breathing out. Let the tailbone get heavy toward the earth. Let the spine be really long. Let the tailbone get even heavier toward the earth. Sit all the way down. Extend the legs out in front of you. Move your prop out of the way. Come to Dandasana. Staff pose. Both feet flexed. Legs side by side. Spine nice and long. Shoulders in line with the hips. Head balanced between the shoulders. Hands on the floor next to the body. And again, you're going to see there's going to be students. None of you are those students. But there are students who cannot, their hands won't go to the ground because their arms are short in comparison to their side body. So you need to have a block underneath of their hands to lift the floor up to meet them. Now, take the hands a little bit further back behind you, just like 4 or 6 inches. Integrate your abdominal muscles and bend both knees at the same time. Put both feet on the ground. No. Straighten your legs. Watch Casey. Exactly. So both legs together. Yes. Now both feet on the ground. Now both hands on the back of the thighs. Just the hands on the back of the thighs. Draw your heart towards your thighs. Hug your thighs in towards your heart. And now lift both feet up off of the floor. Navasana, the boat pose. Flex the feet so you have more control. When you flex, you have more control because there's engagement. When you point, you don't. It's not that pointing is wrong, it's just a matter of what you're looking for in the posture. Now you can keep the legs here, or you can bring them parallel to the floor, or you can straighten them both up. And if you're going to straighten them up, do so by lengthening through the heels. Breathe in, lengthen through the heels, and extend the legs. You're all absolutely amazing. Look at you all sitting in Navasana, looking so comfortable. You could stay here for 3 hours. Swami Shivananda said a yogi should be able to stay in a posture for 3 hours, calm, easy, without once ever wanting to get out. Is this that posture for you? Put both feet on the ground. Wrap your arms around your knees. Rest for a moment. Your beginner students may need to take this apart and do one side at a time. So in order to do that, we'll sit tall, hands behind the thighs, a little bit of space between the feet. Keep the heart nice and lifted. Lift the right shin only, parallel to the floor. Work to balance the weight between both sits bones, both butt cheeks, both legs. Then they can place that foot down. Lift the other. Breathing in and breathing out. Then they can place that down. Take the legs side by side and lift both. So you can take it in a variety of parts so that it becomes accessible to the student. Good? Now we'll have just a little bit of fun for a moment, because the next variation of that is to have your feet a little further apart. Yogi toe grip your big toes, which means pointer middle finger, wrap around the big toe, walk the heels back, keep the spine lifted, lift the heels, hug the knees toward one another, and lift the legs up. Take the shoulder blades onto the back of the rib cage, and you're looking at your toes. Who can tell me what posture this is? I mean, it's Navasana, it's the boat pose. What else does it look like, though?
Happy baby.
Close. What?
The baby's open.
The happy baby would be here. Paschimottanasana. Paschimottanasana. Yeah, seated forward fold. All right, bend the knees, put the feet on the floor. Wrap your arms around the knees. And rest for a moment. Now we're going a little bit longer than I normally would, but that's because I'm also talking a lot and giving you a lot of instructions. So we're going to complete the entire sequence, even if it runs a little over. Straighten both legs out in front of you, preparing for Ardha Matsyendrasana. So this is Lord of the Fish poses, or half Lord of the Fish poses. Ardha means half. Matsi was the king of the fishes, who Shiva, the Lord of Destruction, and his consort Parvati were sitting on the banks of the Yamuna River. And Shiva was expounding the teachings of yoga to his beloved. And she already knew it, so she wasn't highly interested. But this little fish was. He would puff up his chest and come up to the surface of the water so that he could hear Shiva's teachings. Shiva noticed this, and at the end of the exposition of the teachings, he rewarded or gave this king of the fishes a boon and turned him into a human and allowed him to sit on the banks of the river whenever Shiva was teaching as a human. But Matsi didn't want to be just a human. He enjoyed being a fish. And so he said, "May I also go back and forth?" And Shiva said yes. So to take the posture of the Lord of the Fishes, as he would sit on the banks of the Yamuna River listening to Shiva teach, you will flex both feet. Bend your right knee. Place your right foot to the outside of your left leg. The entire foot must be on the ground, all 4 points. No part of the foot is artificially lifted. Wrap your left arm around your right knee. Take your right hand to the floor behind you, palm face down. Spine is tall, so come forward more. Spine is tall. And then your head turns gently and gazes past your right shoulder. And this is the way that Matsya sat and listened to Shiva. This is a digestive posture. You're rotating into the intestines. You are activating peristaltic activity. You're also wringing and soaking out the organs of the abdomen. Or wringing out and then soaking the organs of the abdomen. Keep that left foot nice and flexed. Inhale gently, come back to center. Now, take that right foot to the inside of the left leg. If you have someone with a larger body, and they go to cross that foot over, and the foot is tilted, so that part of the foot is off the ground, then they keep their foot here, and they rotate from here. Make sense? Okay. From here, we're going to come to Janu Shirsasana. So just let that right knee come down to the ground, out to the side, down to the ground, sole of the right foot inside of the left leg. So let the knee come all the way down. Knee is bent. Sole of the foot to the inner thigh. Foot is flexed. One hand on each side of that leg, lengthen through the spine. Keep your body straight forward to that front leg. And as you exhale, fold forward. You can reach to the foot if that's not too much of a distraction for you. Janu Shirsasana, seated head to knee pose. Seated head to knee pose. Shirsa is the head. Janu is the knee. We like to leave students in postures for a little while so that they can feel where the energy gets hung up, so they can feel where the energy is released, so they can feel their way through it. Inhale, gently come up. Support that knee in coming up. Straighten the right leg. Bend the left knee. If it's appropriate, cross the left foot to the outside of the right leg, or leave the foot inside. Wrap the right arm around the left knee. Take the left hand to the floor behind you. Now remember, this is a beginner level class, so this is a beginner level variation. This is the basic posture. It's not really beginner, but there's other more complicated things that you can do later, like binding, which we don't ever do in a beginner level class. We never have students bind or lock their body. That's an advanced practice. Your gaze is past your left shoulder, just ever so gently. The shoulders are nice and square. This rotation is coming from the abdominal area. That right foot stays flexed. And then gently come back to center. Uncross the leg and lower the knee out to the side, placing the sole of the left foot against the inner right thigh. Square yourself off over your right leg, keeping the right foot flexed, one hand on each side of that leg. As you exhale, fold forward. Try to keep that right foot flexed. Now, sometimes students who really understand the props that they need, they keep them very close by, so that if in this posture, your back of your knee is pulling, you need to put a prop under there. So you take one of those little blue pillows and you stick it underneath of the knee, and you let the muscles relax and build trust that you're not going to pull them and hurt them. And then eventually, you may not need the prop anymore. Inhaling, gently come up. Now from here, you're going to turn around, face the front door, and then lie onto your back with your head in this direction. Traditionally, the head of the students comes toward the teacher, the feet do not. There's a lot of different reasons for that. The two primary reasons are that you want whatever the teacher is saying to be heard. So now the ears are closer to the teacher rather than the feet. So lie back onto your back and draw your knees into your chest. The second is that traditionally the soles of the feet don't face the teacher because they've been walking around on the ground and they have dirt on them. And so that's considered to be respectful, that the feet never face the teacher. Now, feet are side by side, not crossed over. Feet are flexed. Arms go out into a T position. Keeping the knees into the chest using your abdominal muscles. Lower the knees to the right and turn your face to the left. The knees come down to the ground, stacked on top of each other. The feet can be stacked on top of each other. If the knees don't come to the ground, you can put a bolster underneath of the outside or between the knees. The back of the left shoulder is grounded. There should be no strain in that left rotator cuff at all. And the face turns to the left. Inhale, come to center. Lower everything down to the opposite side. Being certain to move mindfully with the breath. Back of the right shoulder is on the ground. Right shoulder blade is on the ground. If there's a need for props, they're used. This posture is helping to realign the spine after all the work you've done in class. So just a little bit of a realignment. Come back to center now. Both knees are bent, both feet are on the ground. You'll place your right hand on your lower belly and your left hand on your upper belly. Both shoulders are snug into the earth. Both shoulder blades are snug into the earth. And as you breathe in, feel the belly bloat. And as you breathe out, feel the belly naturally contract. Breathe in, the belly bloats toward the ceiling. And breathe out, the belly naturally contracts toward the earth. Going back and forth between the inhale and the exhale. Feeling the expansion and the contraction. Complete awareness. Completely aware. Let the breath be smooth, no sharp starts or stops. Just one flow of consciousness. Now from here, release that breathing pattern, straighten your legs out, preparing for Shavasana. If you need a blanket over you, you can put one there. If you have low back issues, you can place a bolster underneath the back of your thighs, or back of your knees rather. We will talk about variations for Shavasana, for pregnancy and uncontrolled high blood pressure at a later point in time. Palms face up alongside the body. And with the eyes closed, you just allow your body to melt into the earth. Allow yourself to be completely relaxed, completely. Resting the entire body down, relax the toes, soles of the feet, tops of the feet. Relax the ankles, all the bones, muscles, and connective tissues of the ankles and feet. Relax the calves and shins, knees, thighs, front and back. Relax the hips, the pelvis, and buttocks. Lower abdomen, upper abdomen, and chest. Relax the length of the back and spine. Relax the shoulders, armpits, upper arms, elbows. Relax the lower arms, wrists, and hands. Relax the fingers. Relax the neck and throat, the jaw, the face, the head. Relax the whole body. Relax the whole body. Relax the whole body. Repeat silently to yourself, I am aware. I am aware. I am aware. And then gently deepen your breath. Move your toes and fingers. Turn your head gently from side to side. Roll over to your side, curl up into a ball. Shavasana is a minimum of 5 minutes. The longer the better. For your training purposes, a little bit shorter, but that's okay. And then you'll press yourself up to a seated posture, sitting on your prop, facing this direction, coming into a short concentration practice. So we're not coming into a short meditation practice, we're coming into a short concentration practice. Meditation is a natural extension of concentration. We practice concentration in order to experience meditation. We cannot force meditation. We can only decide to concentrate. And then meditation arises spontaneously. So from here, we'll take the left hand into Varada Mudra, palm face up, fingers closed on the left knee. And then Abhaya Mudra with the right hand, palm face forward in front of the right shoulder, fingers closed. And the eyes are closed or at a soft gaze. And we acknowledge, I am awareness. I am aware. I am aware. I give and receive with awareness. I am fearless with my awareness. I am aware. Drawing the hands together in front of the heart, we'll lift our voices in one Om. Take a breath in. Om. Bowing the head toward the heart, acknowledging all that is. And draw the face to center, release the hands. So at the end of class, make contact, eye contact, with every student in class so that they know you have seen them. They feel appreciated. They know that you've witnessed their work. Do not overlook a single student. If you make eye contact with one, you make eye contact with everyone because they're all the same in front of you. It is the most greatest way of honoring them. You come to Ganesha or Durgama to commit to darshan, to see and to be seen, because that is the holiest experience. You want God to see you. Well, God exists inside your students. So when you meet their eyes, you're meeting God. And when they meet yours, they are too. Not because you are God, but because God exists within you. So it is an act of humility and an act of grace. Any questions?
I have lots of questions, but they haven't come to me yet. My hands are sweating,
Sure.
and when I go to the dark,
Yes. So something to note, that mat is called a closed cell technology. It is made out of whatever material it is, and there's no absorption to that mat. So it's closed cell. It will be slippery. These mats,
yesterday is the same.
same thing on these mats too.
Yeah.
Interesting, because these are not closed cell technology, so they tend to be a bit stickier. So do you see those little rubber things there that Yadira has?
Uh-huh.
Use those underneath of your hands to see if that helps. Some people just have sweaty palms, and they're going to have to learn how to bear down into that sweat and not allow it to cause imbalance. Yeah. There's nothing much you can do about it other than that. Yeah. Other questions? Yes?
In yoga classes and studios, sometimes the students afterwards tend to hop up and roll up their mat and run out. So would it be appropriate to say, I would like to make eye contact with each of you, or just...
No. All I do is at the end of class, I've taken you out of Shavasana. We've sat potentially 5 minutes in concentration. And then as I'm bringing you out of concentration, say, now draw your hands together in front of your heart and gently open your eyes. And somebody will be looking at me. I will go to that person's eyes first and say, I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for joining me here today. And I might tell them, the connection in gazing into each other's eyes is a form of respect, and it is a form of acknowledgement. And I'm so honored to have the opportunity to share that with you today. Yeah, so it's not a requirement. Some people will look down because they don't feel comfortable looking in someone's eyes. But inevitably, if you make it about kindness, they will come. They will lift their head. Yeah, absolutely.
It feels, obviously you're a teacher, but it feels a lot when you're teaching a classroom too, you will have not that you tell them what to do, but you're with love and kindness, you guide them to every single move.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As a teacher, you have a firm understanding of what you're looking for your students. You're not looking for them to look a certain way. This is not the cover of Yoga Journal. But what you are looking for is that they're safe first. Right? So that's number one, they're safe. And they're safe through positive alignment. And that in addition to being safe, there is a general sense of ease on their face. So they don't look like they're bearing down, And you know that by empowering that easeful look on their face, they're also more easy in their body. And does anybody know what that empowers physically in the body when they are more at ease?
Parasympathetic system?
What was that?
The parasympathetic system?
Yes. The parasympathetic system and greater circulation. Parasympathetic is for the nervous system. Absolutely. And then circulation is for detoxification. and a general sense of physical freedom. So that's what you're looking for your students. You're not looking for them to look perfect, to get the thigh parallel to the floor. Some students are not going to be able to do that, and you need to be able to honor that. But what you can gift your students through your vocabulary and through your own discernment is an experience of peace. Now, you're going to have the student who's going to be working hard, sweating, looking like they're at the gym. That doesn't mean they're not at peace. It just means that their journey to that destination is a little bit different than the student next to them. So you've also got to honor whatever the student is going through. Does that make sense? Yeah. To be able to hold that space for them to both do the work and to find the resolution. It's powerful. Very powerful.
Sometimes students cry too.
Oh, yeah. More than sometimes.
I cry.
Yeah. More than sometimes. And it's okay, because there's a hormone in the body called cortisol. And it's an issue for people across the board, but it's particularly an issue for women. It's what causes weight buildup around the waistline and fatty deposits around the heart. And it is a hormone that will lead to heart disease, particularly in women. It is a large hormone. Most hormones are breathed out if they are in excess in the body. Some are in the urine as well. But this particular hormone, the number one way it is excreted from the body is through tears. Through tears. So if you're the kind of person who, I'm not a crier, I never cry, start learning how to. Because if you're also a stressful person, it means that your body is working so hard to try to eliminate this large hormone. And by dedicating energy to that, it's not dedicating energy to other processes that it needs to address. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Did you say the hormone is cortisol?
Cortisol.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Number one, bad hormone in excess in the body. You need some. Cortisol regulates, when it's healthy, the function of the fight or flight. But in our bodies, it's generally not healthy because we're always in a state of fight or flight, which means that cortisol can be an issue for us. And it's been shown medically to lead to heart disease in women. Yeah. All right. No other questions right now? Casey? Nope. How do you feel? 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 Good. All right. Enjoy a little bit of a break. It's 10:21. So we were here for, what is that? We came at 8:30, right? So 8:30, 9:30. So that was about a half hour longer. But again, a lot of instruction. So, and I have this recorded for you. So now what you're going to do is, I'm going to have to make a Facebook page for you all. I guess you don't have one yet.
We need a group.
Make me, put me in there, and then I can post this up there for you. And then you can go in and listen to it and mimic the language. Don't try to make your own language yet. It's not necessary. Use the exact words that I'm using. I've learned from my teachers. You'll learn from your teachers. The language is the language. The language is already done for you. Maybe a year from now you come into some other languaging. But for now, use this languaging. Don't try to be unique about it. Get your technique down. Worry about unique later. Good? Okay. So I will see you in classroom 5 at about 5 minutes to 11. Good? Okay. Thank you all. It's nice out. Maybe take a walk around the outside of the building. Get a little fresh air. Half an hour.